Well, welcome to the Marketing That Grows Your Business show. We're super excited, as usual. I'm always excited about our special guests, but today we're going to be talking about something that I think sometimes is one of those underlying issues that we don't like to talk about, which is our health. And when it comes to building a thriving business, and not just our physical health, although that's certainly important, but our mental health as well. Like, how do we balance that and still have a thriving business, especially now during COVID time? So that's going to be our topic today with our special guest. Like I said, I'm super excited about this topic because I know, I honestly, I don't know any business owner who's not struggled with this at least at some point in their entrepreneurial journey. It can be hard, I think, sometimes to balance. Taking care of ourselves and, making space for ourselves, keeping ourselves sane, if you will, while doing all the things that is required in our business. So as you guys are coming in, just give me a shout out. Where in the world are you this morning, or this afternoon or evening, wherever you are in the world? I know people tune in from literally all over the world. And if you're watching on the replay, just type in hashtag replay so we'll know you're here, and we can say hey. Speaking of saying hey, let me introduce myself, and I would love it if you're brand new and have never been on one of my shows before, if you would introduce yourself and use the hashtag new so that I can say again, hey. My name is Kim Garst. I am an online monetization strategist, which is just a fancy title for saying that I love to help people make more money in their businesses. Good morning, Paul. I'm glad you're here. Laurel, Maryland in the house. How's the weather up there? I bet you have pretty trees right now. So, as some of you that have been, your regulars, Paul is a regular. I've been in Virginia taking care of my dad, home in Tampa right now, and we are losing the leaves on our trees, but our trees don't turn like fallish here. So I'm hating that I am missing all the fall leaves. I bet it's beautiful. It's probably about right now where the trees are really starting to look amazing. Oh, nice to see you here, Roberta. I'm so glad you're here. Hello, everybody say hey to Roberta, okay? Hello, Roselle. I hope I'm saying that correctly. We got Juan in the house. Awesome. I'm so glad you guys are here. Okay. So a couple of quick things before I bring in our special guest. One, we love the love around here. So hit the little emojis and share it if you hear something you love or you needed to hear. Definitely use the emojis. We love them. We also love it if you know somebody that you know needs maybe a little nudge when it comes to taking care of themselves. Tag them, sprinkle it out into the world. You never know who might need this today. So again, we like to spread it out, give this as much impact as it possibly can. We have Paula saying it is 66 up there and leaves are just starting to turn. Yeah, I figured as much. It is hot here in Tampa still. We're still in the 80s most days. But that said, in another month or so, it'll start to cool off and it'll be like 70s. It's like my favorite time of the year. Winter here is my favorite time of the year here anyway, because it's nice and warm here and it's a little chilly everywhere else, right? Okay, so that said, one other thing, we do giveaways on every one of my shows. So today is no different. We're going to be giving away our special guest, Pat's book. We're going to be doing 2 copies of her book. Let me pull it up on the screen so you can see it. Stop Compromising and Make All the Money You Want. Wow, is that not a powerful title? Who doesn't want that? Seriously, if you are okay, stop compromising, think about that for a second. What am I compromising on? And if I am, would you like to push that to the side and make all the money you want? So let me hear from you if that resonates. So doing the giveaways, I wanted to make sure we got that straightened out. Let me share how you can win. Okay, so we do have a few. I wouldn't call them hoops. They're not hoops, but how you win is sharing your what we call aha moments. I get my finger wrong so often. You'd think as many times as I'd done this, I would get my finger right. But anyway, so pointing to the right side here. An aha moment is if you hear something that you're like, wow, I needed that. Like you just feel it. It's like, oh, thank you for sharing that with me. Sometimes it's things that you didn't know. So you're like, aha, man, that was good. Or sometimes it's things that you already know, you just needed to hear again. So pop those in down under, just hashtag aha. And that's how we enter you into what we call the Wheel of Wow. We choose the winners at the end. So you'll have access, you'll be entered in, and then we'll choose the winners and you'll know who won at the end. Wanted to give our special sponsor of today's show a huge shout out. They're an amazing resource if you would like to go live in multiple places at the same time from your desktop. This little tool is going to be absolutely amazing for you if that's something you're interested in. So, like, for example, right now we are live on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, and a few Facebook groups all at the same time. And they have such an amazing and easy to use interface for doing cool transitions, pulling in viewers, comments, adding customized text to the screen. I mean, you name it. There's so many amazing things that you can do with this little tool. But they have a new feature that literally there's no other live streaming tool out there that has this feature right now. They call it pairs, and it allows anyone with an account, anybody that's got even a free restream account, to stream your content to their social platforms. So the ability to form collaborations with others that are looking for great content is amazing, because your content, every time you go live, could be streamed to their social channels at the same time. Talk about an amazing resource and an incredible feature. So I'm super excited about that new little feature that they've just rolled out. And I have great news. You can try it for free for 7 days. And if you want it, you can use the code KimGarst25 to get a lifetime 25% off discount. So don't hesitate to check them out if you're interested in live streaming, because it's an incredible, amazing resource for doing just that. Speaking of that, we're going to do a little segue. This is a perfect segue into, I'm going to intro the special guest, and then I'm going to tell you a little bit about how we're going to stream today's special guest, because we're doing something a little bit different today. So let me tell you a little bit about Pat first. Pat is an author. She's a television personality. She's an internationally acclaimed speaker and an award-winning business coach located in London, Canada. She's transformed her life at the age of 57 from trash bag to travel. And there's a story there, and I can't wait for her to share it with you, in a private plane around the world, as well as taking her business from zero to close to $1 million in less than 7 years. So she is, we laugh until we said it. You'll hear in the, when we start the interview, um, we call ourselves oldies but goodies because we've been around for so long. But this, again, going back to Restream real quick. Restream has a feature that allows you to stream pre-recorded content. And I normally do not do this for the live show because it's a live show, right? And I'm live right now. I'm physically in front of the camera. What you see right now is live and in the moment. But Pat couldn't make this time slot. So what we did is we pre-recorded the interview, and I'm getting ready to share that with you. Now, keep in mind, I'm live. I'm going to be in the comments. Rhonda's obviously in the comments. You all know Rhonda on my team. Most of you are familiar with her, but we're here and we are going to be answering any questions and connecting with you during the live show. But she couldn't make it. Pat couldn't make it with us at the moment, but you're going to get so much value from it. It's incredible. Really pay attention to her powerful story. I think that's the one thing that I picked up from having the opportunity to really ask her the hard questions, if you will. So here she is. Give her a warm hand because she's going to be tuning in later to make sure that she answers any questions you might have. I decided on a topic that I think is near and dear to your heart, which is, how to build a thriving business without losing our minds and our health. And I think that's super important right now in particular. Like we've just been talking about COVID, right? And how I think mental health has really struggled. And maybe I would even argue that they've jumped even deeper into their business because they don't have any other avenue to have an outlet. Like, they can't go shopping, or they can't get out. They can't go on a trip. They can't, right? So what else is left, but I am super excited about something I found on your website. I always like to start with kind of the backstory. So I'm just going to read it out loud, and then I'd love to know what the story is behind this. To break free from fear, from a life where you've settled and where you have lost sight of who you are, from a life of compromise, tough decisions have to be made so that you can create the life you really want and live without regrets. That's how I ended up with the equivalent of my whole life in a trash bag. So what is the story behind that? That is such a powerful statement, 2 or 3 sentences there. So what is the backstory behind that, Pat?
It's interesting, Kim, because, you reach an age and stage in life where, for the most part, and so I'm going to speak from the perspective of baby boomers age 50 plus. And when you reach that stage in life, you can expect certain things, like you and I were talking about your father, for example. So I'm much older. My in-laws at the time, I was in a marriage, and my in-laws at the time, my father-in-law was diagnosed with terminal cancer. My mother-in-law had Alzheimer's disease. My best friend had breast cancer and was dying. And it was like, instead of life's milestones happening over a period of time, it all came together in one big black cloud and dumped. And so at the same time, when precious people in my life were dying and ill, my marriage was dying as well. I was on the road a lot, and that's very challenging in a relationship. And so after the dust settled, and I say this with all respect, and and people had passed and everything, and my marriage that was dying as well, I made the decision that it was time for me to stop compromising, stop putting everything else first, and start to take care of me. So at age 55, I just walked out the door. That was it. I had just, Kim, you can probably relate. When you get to a point in time where you feel like your soul is dying, and that's where I was at. I had no energy left. I was emotionally depleted. My soul was dying, and I recognized that if I was going to make any change in life, that was the time. So material things were not important to me. I am an expert in the field of mindset. I know about belief systems and goal setting and resilience, and so I knew I could reinvent myself. Yeah. So I just grabbed a few things and headed east.
That is so okay, so let me back. I'm going to rewind my world a little bit. I have an interesting story and I think a lot of people can resonate and maybe even relate to this, both from your perspective and the story I'm getting ready to share, which was was at the time. I guess I was 13 at the time. And my dad cheated on my mom from 2 weeks after they got married. I mean, so I would come home routinely from school, and she would be on my top. We had bunk beds. My sisters and we lived in a very small place, and they would sleep because they were 6 and 7 years younger than me. They would sleep on the bottom bunk. I had the top bunk, but my mom would be on the top bunk crying almost every day when I came home from school. So one day I came home from school, I was 13, and I threw all of our clothes in the back of our car. I put my 2 sisters in the back seat, and I said, "Come on, we are leaving." And, she had stayed in a relationship, obviously, that was very toxic. That I'm not saying that was your situation, but toxic is relative based on where you are, right? but she was fearful. She was
Mhm.
fear, and I think a lot of people. And the point that I really want to bring out is that you are at an age where a lot of people, like I'm that age, like thinking about starting over is like it's not even like an option, or we don't even think it's an option. So I think it's super powerful that you understood that there's a lot of life left out there for me,
Mhm.
and I'm in a place where I don't like where I'm at, and I'm not going to accept it any longer. So I think it's like that's such a powerful, like, I just want everybody to hear that. If you are in a place where you're not happy with where you are, only you can change that, right, Pat?
Only you can change it. And the thing is, there's a few things around that story. If I had known Kim in advance, just how difficult all of that experience was going to be, how hard it was going to be, how hard it is to get divorced after 20 plus years, 22, we were aiming close to 25 years together. And that's a lot of time. And so to think about starting over again across the country, no clients, no business, no customers, no money, and just, pulling from your heart and your brains and starting over again. Uh, it, I don't know if I would have had the courage had I known more. And so I tell women that often
Mhm.
that I am the poster child of life after divorce. This is the new face of 70. And if I can do it, you can do it.
Yeah, and that's really what I hope everybody gets from this story is that at any point, it's not necessarily, leaving a relationship, although that's your
Mhm.
story, right? But it could be anything. It could be a business that is no longer serving us.
Mhm.
Maybe it's not making enough money. Maybe it's just sucking the life out of me, out of you. Because I've had those businesses where, like, I got to a place where I just dreaded getting up every day because I didn't want to deal with, the clients or the
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
You're never too old to
Mhm.
shift, pivot, and move into another direction, which is part of what I mean, this is a big part of our conversation today, which is how did that shift your health? Either from a mental perspective or just your overall health, making that decision to move in a different direction on so many fronts. How did that impact you from mentally or just your overall health across the board?
Well, I can tell you, after you get through what I call the turbulence, and what my longtime mentor Lou Tice always said is, you've got to get through the rain, and I call it turbulence. Once you get through that, and then recognize the potential, the possibilities, the opportunities, I recognize that emotionally I was drained, for sure. Spiritually, though, I came alive again. Mentally, I came alive again. And so when I hit the ground there on the East Coast to start over, in fact, the first thing I did was take a job that was offered to me. And I thought, well, this is perfect. I'm 55. I'm going to take the job. I'm going to slide into retirement and everything will be perfect. And that job was pure hell. For a year, I stuck with it. The blessing that came out of it, because there's always blessings, and I want your audience to know that. The blessing that came out of it, because of my situation, is having a job meant I could get a letter from an employer and be qualified for a mortgage to get a home. And so I just squirreled away my money. I got that letter. I got the mortgage, and then I left that job. And so I stepped then into the opportunity of taking my gifts, my expertise, my talent, my experience, and I launched my coaching, my business coaching and professional speaking career. So the health story is a bit like a roller coaster. And also, when I did launch that business, and I hired high level coaches right away, because I knew at the time social media was going to be a big thing and I didn't know anything about it. I knew my stuff, I didn't know how to market it. So I hired high level coaches and my business soared. And I was so grateful. However, as it turned out, and what my life became was like 3 weeks on the road every month. That's hard on a body. And that was where it really affected my health. In the past, in that journey, in that transition, I could handle the emotional ups and downs. I could handle the physical ups and downs. But that that whole treadmill of being on the road, grow the business, get to the next level, get to the next level, get to the next stage, literally the stage to speak on, my health paid the price. I did.
Yeah, and I've so been there myself, and I've seen others
Mm-hmm.
there as well. You know, whether you want to call it burnout or just the
It's
tax,
just,
it's
yeah.
just you can't sustain that kind of craziness because it is crazy. It's
Mm-hmm.
like a constant like trying, and I've done it for years. Like, I mean, my first set of businesses, I owned four businesses all in one um at one time. And, I was working 18 hours a day for years. I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like, you get
Yeah.
to a place where, your health does suffer, whether it's your physical health or your mental health for sure. And I definitely think that mental health obviously is a huge issue right now. We touched on it just briefly before we got
Mm-hmm.
started today. COVID has really impacted so many people on so many levels, which I'd love to get into in just a minute. But I wanted something else I found on your website, which is health is our wealth. I would love to know what your how would you describe that? Like, what is your explanation for that saying? Because I think that's so powerful. And I've run into so many people that are in various stages of their lives. In some cases, they're extremely wealthy and they don't have anything that really is what I would call true wealth. So I'm curious as to what you think about the whole health is wealth concept.
Well, there's a bit of a story behind that. I love stories. It's what resonates with people. So when I moved across the country, and I really needed to hit the ground running. And so I was going out to all the networking events so that the people in Ontario where I was had moved to, they knew who I was and what I was about. And I was the new kid on the block, a speaker with fresh energy, fresh topics, and so on. I went to my very first networking event and got placed at a table with this woman with whom I bonded almost immediately. She was an entrepreneur. I was an entrepreneur. She was divorced. I was divorced. She lived alone. I lived alone. She was a Christian. I was a Christian. Like, we became like soul sisters. And so while I supported her in her business, I was her cheerleader. She supported me in mine. And so what was happening, this is so fascinating, actually. What was happening is that as I was traveling from Argentina one week to LA the next, to Montreal the next, that did take a toll. I was putting on weight. I was inflamed. I was exhausted. I had the black circles. And what happened, sadly and simultaneously, is that my friend was diagnosed with terminal ovarian cancer. And so while she often was in the audience wherever I went to speak, and my topic typically was stop compromising and make all the money you want, I spoke to women entrepreneurs, helping them shift their thoughts around their money mindset, because I was on a mission to ensure that women were not caught up in the financial mess that I had created for myself when I left my marriage. So she got the diagnosis. My business was doing very, very well. I had a great team. They could handle things. And I made a commitment to her and her adult girls. I was going to stick by her on this journey. What happened was two things. One, she obviously was not going to survive. So we had a lot of those deathbed conversations, Kim. We pulled out that graphic that you see floating around social media, the 7 regrets of the dying. Mm-hmm. And so we talked about that a lot. And she said to me, who's going to be around to care for and support you if and when this should ever happen to you? I think you need to change your topic. And at the same time, I was working with a fitness trainer who introduced me to a nutrition system that changed everything for me. Everything. Because I said to him, it had to be flexible because I'm on the road. It has to be tasty because I love food. It has to be affordable and it darn well better work. So she's dying. I'm transforming. I'm working with my speaking coach and put all that together, mix it up. And what happened was she passed. I reflected on my life knowing that I was turning 70 this year. What did I want this decade to look like and feel like? My speaking coach helped me recreate my signature talk, which is now, you're killing your business because you're killing yourself.
Mm.
So my health transformation journey through all of this is what is attracting people now to want to speak with me, coach with me, work with me, join my team. And it's been a very fascinating journey. So what that comes down to is what she said to me, my friend, I'm not ready to die. I had a thriving business. She had 32 employees. She loved what she did, but she was killing herself and therefore had to sell her business, and she's no longer with us. So that banner, that mantra, that motto, our health is our wealth, without it, you've got nothing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nothing.
Nothing. And all the things that sometimes I think we get wrapped up in, I think traditionally, and men have taken on the role of the provider in some families, where they feel like they have to, be the one bringing home the bacon, so to speak. And so I think they have, they catch the flack of that. My husband's always said, like, you go to church on Father's Day and all they do is talk about the fathers in the context of, listen, you guys, you need to be spending more time with your families, and and you go on Mother's Day and it's like, oh, moms are amazing. But that it's that kind of that dynamic in our
Yeah.
businesses
Yeah.
where, it's like, there's times when I firmly believe that there is no work-life balance. There's seasons in our business, and we have to be smart enough to see those seasons. Like if we're in launch phase, for example, or mode, then, it's all in, it's all hands on deck. It's like the late hours, the making sure stuff gets done.
Yes.
But when we're not, we need to smell the roses a little bit. We need to make sure that we're
Mhm.
taking care of ourselves. And I love that you talked about how you got here, because I think sometimes our experiences are what help us define our pivots, in our
Yes.
business, right? Like the experiences
Yes.
that we have are what takes us to the next level in some cases. Like, okay, I know that this is no longer serving me, going back to what we were talking about
Mhm.
before, where sometimes
Mhm.
your business is no longer serving you. And it's hard to make those decisions, right? Where you're
That's
like,
your baby. That's your
yes,
baby. Yes.
yes, it can be very
So
difficult.
here's the other piece, Kim. As I look back and I reflect, and as I speak to women all the time, I really believe that every decade in our life is a chapter. So we not only have seasons in our business, we have chapters in our life, and they come together as an entrepreneur. So when you're going through the season of being a mom to young children and an entrepreneur, that takes on a different life. Then you move to the phase of empty nester and a business that perhaps has grown to a certain level. I don't know about you, but for me, honestly, I was getting bored with coaching. I had 3 levels of coaching clients. I was bored. So then you move to another decade in life where, well, let's just say the baby boomer stage, where perhaps you are bored and or you've sold your company and or you want to try new things, or you're at a very stable place in your business thinking, okay, I can take risks now because the kids are gone, and or perhaps you are single like myself. So we've got to look at the seasons in the business and the chapters in our life and bring those together in a healthy way so that we do survive and thrive and enjoy and create a great life. That's where I'm at. That's my mission.
Yes, so powerful. I hope everybody's listening really like keyed in on
Mm,
that, because I am in 100% alignment with you. And I'm constantly telling people that I have built all kinds of different successful online models, from coaching to
mhm,
memberships to a service-based business, having a small agency. So the only thing I really don't feel like I've mastered is ecom. Do you ever master ecom? But the point is that there I still don't feel like I'm at the next thing. I'm always like, what is my next thing? What could I do that
mhm.
would challenge me to do something different? So I'm definitely at that phase in my life again. So it's interesting that you're saying that, because I think sometimes we fear is that evil thing. Fear is like, well, I've got something successful that's going, I mean, why would I try to change that up? Like, I was listening to someone today and they were talking about how they threw away a $300,000 no, $300,000 monthly recurring revenue, because it was no longer serving them. And that's a major decision, like, right?
Yes,
That's a huge decision. So
that's a huge decision.
but
And
they
I
shifted.
believe, Kim, I believe that because of COVID,
Mhm.
many people did take
Yes.
that lesson to heart
Mhm.
and did a serious reassessment, a
Yes.
serious review, and many have simplified and downsized,
Mhm.
which I embrace and support and cheer all the way.
Yeah.
Sadly, my observation these days is that what I'm hearing from many people again is, oh, I'm busy. Oh, I'm swamped. Oh, I'm so busy. And that saddens me because the lesson was lost.
And oops, sorry about that. One of the things that I've never really grasped, that is, and I guess it's just human nature, is why we don't learn. Like, right? Like, I mean, it's like, how many times do you have to be smacked with the same ugly stick or the same whatever, to
Yeah.
say, okay, I get it now, but we don't
Mhm.
always learn. And so I wanted to like dig into the components of how things have shifted for you, because you've evolved to a place where you have a thriving business that I mean, you've had a thriving business for a long time, but the distinction that I'm hearing you say is that now you have a thriving business that serves you in the process, meaning it gives you the space to be healthy, to have a lifestyle that, when we start a business, we usually start a business for time and financial freedom, and we end up with neither. Like, what is the deal here? Especially the time freedom piece.
Mhm.
So, like, let's break it down a little bit. Like, how important is exercise to your routine? I'm just going to break it down the components as I see the word healthy anyway.
Hey, I'm right with you because um, as I made the transition from the East Coast back to the West Coast after that deathbed conversation with my friend, which in turn, for me, as I reflect back, that whole experience was such a blessing for me. It was a life-saving experience for me because I saw what was happening with her. And I saw her adult children and her grandchildren grieving her. And I thought, there, but for the grace of God, go I. So while I had been introduced to a phenomenal nutrition system, which changed everything, I dropped 45 pounds. Now I'm 5 foot, almost one. You can't hide 45 pounds easily on this body, nor can you lug it through the airports trying to catch those tight connecting flights. So I saw what was happening to her and I took a serious look at me. When I made the transition or the move back to the West Coast, that decision being back to my kids, my grandkids, my world, which is where I want to spend my 70s. I also, two things happened, Kim. One, I had grown my speaking business so successfully, my calendar was full. So technically, when I moved here, I found an apartment building near the airport. So I could easily get up and catch those 6 a.m. flights. COVID hit. And before I moved, I also downsized my coaching business because, like I said, I was a bit bored and I preferred the speaking. COVID hit, the doors closed, the speaking gigs disappeared overnight. The coaching clients, I kept my favorite ones. They were travel agents, event planners, hospitality executives. Yeah, you know where I'm going with that.
Yes.
So, thirdly, as a business coach, I'm smart enough to know that yes, you need to have another stream of revenue, e-commerce, online, leveraged, and residual. That is what I pivoted to right away to spend my full time and attention and energy on because it's in the wellness space. What's the top priority right now, having come through the pandemic? So, in that experience, in that journey, as I now am totally focused on wellness, helping women get healthy and wealthy together with the online business, I implemented my daily non negotiables with the intention of staying in the upright, happy, healthy position. I live alone. So I certainly didn't want to end up with any kind of COVID anything.
Mhm.
And I didn't want to be a burden on my family. And I'm not a good patient. So I like to do the work I'm doing. 5 daily non negotiables, Kim. The The first one is exercise. So when I get up in the morning, my workout clothes are at the foot of my bed. Without fail, I'm into those workouts. I'm up at 6 to 6:15 in the morning. So the first 45 minutes of my day is a workout. I do resistance training 2-3 times a week because at my age, again, bone health, core strength, muscle tone is important. So I do resistance training, I do yoga, I do cardio, rotate those in the morning. And every day at 3 o'clock, I shut everything down, I change my clothes, and I go for a power walk, get my cardio, and listen to a good podcast. So that's the exercise routine. Then I come back after half an hour and I get back into the work game feeling refreshed and recharged. Secondly, hydration. I always am drinking water all through the day. That is so critically important. The third piece for me is meditation, which I do 3 times a day now. I did not do that before COVID, but now I meditate 3 times a day. So it typically will go anywhere between 5 and 15 minutes. I have a really great app that I use. And that goes hand in hand with gratitude. I keep a gratitude journal. I've done it for 26 years. I write out 5 things every day. So you've got exercise, you've got hydration, you've got meditation. The fourth one is nutrition. And I argued with my trainer when he said to me, I'm going to introduce you to this great nutrition system because it's not your workout, it is your nutrition. And I went, oh, it's not. I used to work for Weight Watchers for 8 years. I know my nutrition. And he said, no, you don't. And I said, yeah, I do. Anyway, he said, you're going to try this for 30 days or we're not going to work together anymore. Okay, then. And that was almost 6 years ago, Kim. I have been living this nutrition system every day for 6 years and have no intention of quitting. And the last non-negotiable is my sleep. I get between 8 and 9 hours a night. I'm in bed by 10. I'm not on any electronic after 7 p.m. at all. Certainly not work, let alone any other. I'm reading or meditating or listening to music, something to decompress. My bedroom is dark and cold and there's no electronics in there whatsoever. I stop eating and drinking by 7 p.m. So I set myself up for success for a good night's sleep. Those are my 5 daily non-negotiables, period. I come to my desk at 8:30 in the morning. The first 2 hours are for me. I don't pick up my phone. I do not look at social media or email. That's your world. That's somebody else's world, somebody else's agenda. I'm not letting anybody in till I've taken care of me. And that's how I have stayed healthy and happy and fit through this last 2 years.
And wealthy and wise. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I'm just saying also because when, I was really looking forward to flipping that calendar when I turned 70 in August because I wanted that marketing message, the new face of 70.
Yeah.
My friends are diabetic, going through cancer, waiting for hip replacements. And I'm thinking, what?
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be like that. And I am living proof.
Yeah. I mean, lots of times people, I think in my case, they'll I have a son who's 30. We went out the other day because he was here for the weekend. And they thought I was his sister. I'm like, no, but again, we don't have to accept our age. Like it's not a defining confinement. It shouldn't be anyway. It's about what do you feel? What do you want to, I went to the dentist this morning and the gal's like, oh, well, you're purple in your hair that keeps you edgy. I'm like, exactly. Like, right. We can be edgy. We do not have to say, hey, I'm this age, therefore I should look this way. My mom did that. Like my mom would be like, or, hey, it's September 1, you can't wear white shoes. Like, I mean, we don't have to accept the confinements or the boxes that society puts on us. Or more importantly, that we let close in on us, maybe, I think, to like you were saying, like, well, getting up at a certain time. Well, I can't do that because whatever, fill in the blank, right? Or I can't do what she does, fill in the blank. You can do any of it. You just have to decide and take action, right?
Well, you have 24 hours. I have 24 hours. I might choose to get up at 6 because I've had a good night's sleep, You might be a night owl. That's fine. I start fading at 3 p.m. But you go, girl. Like you go and create your own schedule. However, in those 24 hours, as I continue to hear my girlfriend in my ear, and her picture's right there. So I have a daily reminder of what a blessing my life is, what a blessing my health is. And you're right, it's a daily decision. I could lay in bed too and go, but I'm in 2 Facebook groups that are focused on health and wellness, and I am accountable to show up every day. I post my workouts. I post what I'm doing. I post the recipes of what I'm eating. And so I blast my age, and I intend to be an inspiration. I intend to be around for a long period. And I want that again to be in the happy, upright, independent position. That's important to me.
Yeah.
And that starts at your age, Kim, if not younger, not waiting till you get to my age.
Yes. But you've had this is why this is so powerful, in my opinion. Again, it's all about, somebody said on my show yesterday that, if we don't embrace, oh, how did he say it? I wish I could think of the exact way he said it, because it was so powerful. But basically, the messaging was, you learn from other people's experiences. If you're smart, you learn from other people's experiences, so that you had the experience, and again, you learn from your friend.
Yeah.
You saw where she was. You didn't want to be there,
Mm-hmm.
but that was, again, your journey. Now you're sharing your journey. And if we, as other women who are, a step or two behind where you are, will listen and understand that we don't necessarily have to have the experience in order to learn from yours. I think that's super powerful. And I'm hoping that if you're listening, that, there's several big messages out of here that you can take away, because again, it just, one of the things I've learned so much, so that's been so powerful for me, from my friend Shalene Johnson, is sleep, the importance of sleep. And you mentioned that, you mentioned how powerful, and you plan for it. You don't just say, hey, I'm going to get 8 hours of sleep. No, you plan for it. You also plan, interestingly enough, that I heard, you plan for your exercise of the morning. I mean, you have it all, but you make it easy. You don't give yourself an out. You do not give yourself an excuse. You get up, your clothes are laid out, your exercise clothes are laid out on the end of the bed, you jump into them, and off you go. So I think that's a lesson too, is the routine of having, so that you do, because it's easy to talk, especially when you live by yourself. Like, there's a blessing and a curse there. Like, the blessing is, obviously, you can do what you want, but the curse is you don't have anybody there to push you.
The curse is I can do what I want.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, it boils down to a few things.
Yeah.
I have always done a vision board, and I used to do them for a year, but now I do it for a month because life is so uncertain, right? So it's always right over there, the pink on the wall.
That's what I was getting ready to say. Explain what your vision board is and what it means to you, and then maybe even tell us a little bit about what's on it.
Sure. So I have the vision board over here, and I have my girlfriend's picture over there. So it keeps me grounded. And so what I do now every month is I download the Life Balance Wheel. You can find one on Google. They're all over the place, and instructions come with it. I've done this for 30 years. So this is an easy exercise for me. I choose to live life intentionally. My life is on a want to, choose to, like it, love it basis, not a have to. I don't have to do anything. I choose to. So when I download the Life Balance Wheel, I rate myself on every spoke. So there's financial and health and community and career and family and all of that. I rate each spoke on a scale of 1 to 10. And then I give myself a visual. What is my wheel looking like and feeling like today? And what do I want that to look and feel like going forward for 30 days, which is how I'm doing it right now. And so I have been pretty consistent actually over the last year and a half to focus on health, wealth, and happiness. Those are my 3 areas. I pull that from the Life Balance Wheel, And then I go get the pictures that create the vision that pull me forward to what I want. So what's on my vision board, for example, before I left the East Coast, I was working with my trainer and we were doing body lifts, with the bar to pull your whole body up and down. And I was doing pretty good with it. I got up to 10 of those. And so I have that on the vision board that I want to continue to improve and increase my quality with that. I have nutrition on my board. I make a commitment typically on Saturdays to go on YouTube and find a new recipe to keep my nutrition, my meals interesting. And that's easy because I have 2 quality plant-based protein shakes a day. And so I focus on one meal that I make a day. I keep my life simple. It's got to be easy. The other piece on there's a pickup truck with a load of cash in it. So that's the wealth part, right? I focus on money. Money comes to me easily. Money surrounds me. Money is a tool. And so I've got cash flying around on the vision board. And then I have some travel, but we've been restricted here in Canada. And so my travel has been again through YouTube experiences. So you can sign up for virtual tours. So I've done that to keep me in the game. And the happiness factor is around being back with my family. So I went hiking on Sunday with my grandson. I was over at my granddaughter's on Saturday and we had a bonfire and played Scrabble that night. These are the things that are bringing me joy, that I focus on, that I visualize, that I create. I don't wait for someone to invite me. I create the experience to ensure that my life in a month looks just like what's on the board. So I keep it simple. I just keep it simple.
And what I love about what you just said is you do it month to month.
Yeah.
I've never heard that articulated like that. A lot of people teach and talk about their vision boards and put the stuff on there, but it's like, it's not like limited. And it's kind of like in our businesses where we don't set a goal that's time sensitive. I love that you're talking about like, hey, this is my vision board for the next 30 days. And I think that's powerful. I love that. I may have to, emulate that because that's so good.
Because it works. It works. There's 4 steps to it though. You're right. A lot of people teach vision board and people will stick it on the wall and look at it. So I have a 4-step process. So the first one is the life balance wheel. The second one is the vision board, and make sure it has compelling, exciting, dynamic pictures and words, because it's the emotion that we create that causes us to want to follow through on our goals. So I have the vision board, then I move through to those 3 categories, health, wealth, happiness, and I specifically write out 3 goals for each of the 3 categories. Once I've got the goals written out, I move them into action steps in my calendar to make sure that I take action. And in a month, I'm not going to look at that and go, well, crap, nothing happened, poor me. Yeah, that's not the way I live. And I always stretch myself. So I do my affirmations every day. I have my affirmation pouch. I do my affirmations every day. So when I come in here, Kim, in the morning, after I'm showered and dressed, I've had my shake and I'm ready for the day. Before I turn anything on, I turn to the vision board. Then I turn here and I meditate. Then I turn there and ground myself with my girlfriend's picture. And I get reaffirmed in my why every day. Why am I doing what I'm doing? And I make sure that that grounds me. And then I get to work. That's my process. That is what's successful, not just having a vision board stuck on a wall somewhere.
So powerful. One of the things I keep hearing is the experience that you had with your girlfriend was bigger than just the experience, I think, because it showed you what you did not want.
Yeah.
And it motivates you daily and you put it in front of you daily. So I think that's powerful. And I wanted to pull that out because for those that are listening, maybe you have something, maybe you have a similar experience, or maybe you have a vision of what in your life that hey, I don't want that. I don't want to end up like that. In some cases, it can even be personal relationships, right? Where
Mhm.
you're like, ooh, I don't want to be like my mom, or don't want to be like
Mhm.
my dad, or whatever. Keeping that in front of you each and every day could be the motivation that would light your fire, y'all. I'm just saying, because
Oh
it's
my
important
gosh. And
that.
Kim, it might not even be external. It might be you, one of the listeners right now, sitting there with a recent diagnosis, I mean, to whatever extreme. But you've got to know that there is always hope, there's always a solution, and you can make a change today. Perhaps it's one more glass of water. Perhaps it's just meditating for 2 minutes. Perhaps it's going to bed 10 minutes earlier. Some people say, well, I need to go to bed an hour earlier. No, you don't. 10 minutes earlier.
Yeah.
Make this doable and do it today.
Yes, I think that's incredible. Even like Pat's talking about the small things. The
Mm-hmm.
small things equal big things. It's just, whether it's your health or even the small things that you do in your business every
Yeah,
day.
yeah.
They may seem like little things, but they can end up being massive and have a massive impact if you just do them consistently. One of the things I picked up on, and I've heard other people say this, and I haven't gotten there myself. I'll just be totally transparent, is leaving the tech behind hours
Mhm.
before you go to bed. Like,
Yep.
we're all guilty of it, like, I would say, to some degree, except for Pat. Well, I know other people that do it.
Well, yeah, and
Cutting,
I would say,
cutting
it's not we all. There are many who
There are
don't.
many.
There are
That
many
is
who
a
don't.
broad statement for
Yeah.
sure. And maybe I said it in the context of, maybe that'll make me feel better if I say we all. I
Maybe.
didn't mean it like that until I thought it through.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that is definitely something. But just taking that one small shift, making that one small shift could make a huge difference. One, your brain stops spinning, and you relax and you go to bed. Go to sleep faster than I find myself doing
Mhm.
this, which leads me to a question that I'm curious about. And you may have had some experience with this. One of the things I hear quite frequently from people who are either struggling with, understanding that they can have a life and they can be healthy in their business, or they're just really unfocused. Procrastination is a big factor, I think, for a lot of people. And one of the things I'm hearing is you're very structured in your approach to life and your business. How do you deal with somebody though that isn't? Like, if you were to give somebody some advice, if you will, because I know I run into this quite frequently with people I help or hear, or hey, and I don't know, in some cases it may be ADHD, procrastination can be a problem for a lot of people. But now that you've had this experience of gaining structure around your life and your business, has it always been this way, or did you ever struggle with procrastination?
I have never struggled with it. I was fortunate to grow up in a military family. My father was very rules oriented. And so if you picture that movie, The Sound of Music, where the father is blowing his whistle and the kids are all lining up, well, that was our family. We got our daily regulatory orders every day. So we were up at a certain time. We had our tasks to do. And so I was brought up that way. And at the time, that was miserable. Now I'm grateful, which many of us can say about our life experiences. I will say this about procrastination. I believe, first of all, I've learned procrastination is a poverty mindset. Take that in for a minute. Procrastination is a poverty mindset. I also believe that fear is simply lack of information. That's all it is. And we allow it to eat ourselves up and we allow it to lead to procrastination. So when I'm coaching people, and most of my coaching, while they come to me for business coaching, it typically ends up being mindset coaching because it's all mindset. And so I always get people grounded in their why. Why are you doing what you're doing? And if it's not for the right reason or the right time for you, then make a change, because to be doing something because somebody else expects it or because it's the way you've always done it, or whatever the case might be, you really don't want to go through life like that. And that's what causes some procrastination. So I always get people grounded in their why, which can be as simple as making enough money to pay the mortgage on a new home. It can be as simple as helping your kids with college expenses. It can be as simple as planning a romantic getaway with your partner for 2 days. Like, what is your why? It doesn't have to be to save the world. A lot of people feel that pressure. It's not. What is your why? And your why can change. My why has changed in the last month. So be open and flexible to that. My life, Kim, yes, I'm very disciplined and I'm very goal oriented, but I live my life 80-20. So there's always 20% flexibility with respect to my work, with respect to my nutrition. 20% of the time I won't exercise. It's usually on a weekend to do something different. 20% of the time I'm going to have ice cream. 80% of the time I'm on task. 80% of the time I'm on my desk and I'm at my desk and I'm very focused on the work I want to get done today, the mission I'm following, the people I choose to serve. So when people come to me for business coaching, we'll focus on the mindset, get grounded in the why. In fact, it's a 5W approach. I'll give it to you. The first one is the why. What are you doing? Why are you doing this? Secondly, what is it you're doing? What is it you're bringing to the market? And is it something that you love, that you're credible with, you're experienced with? Are you any good at it? I will ask people that too. So what is your content? Thirdly, who are your people? You can't serve everybody. You're either a Starbucks or a Dunkin' Donuts. You're either a Nordstrom or a Walmart. Like, who are you? And who are your people? And then when is the key piece? And that ties in with procrastination, because I'll say to people, I'm at my desk from 8:30. I take my breaks. I take my midday breaks. I go out on the balcony. I breathe in some air. I just get away from the computer. And so my when in having a structured day is when I start, when I have my breaks, and I never eat lunch. I never have my lunch protein shake at my desk. I go to my dining room. I take my 3 o'clock break for my walk, and then I'm finished here at 6 o'clock. Unless there's some 20%, something special might come up. But that takes me off the electronics. And so when are you working? If you're a night owl, then shift your schedule accordingly, but make it work for you and your avatar. And then where are you working? So this was more valid before COVID, because I would be saying, like me, I was traveling the world speaking. Now I'm speaking virtually. So where I'm speaking is online. Where I'm working is online. So those are the 5 W's that I coach on. Get clear on that. And then develop some habits. Get yourself a coach and an accountability buddy who will hold your feet to the fire. No BS, no crap, no excuses. And you're going to create the life that you want. Guaranteed.
I so agree. We just talked about this yesterday too, where we were talking about how important it is to get help. In
Yes.
some cases, whether you think you know it already, but if you know it already and you're not doing it, do you know it? Like, I'm just going to throw
And
that
do you
out.
want to? And do you want to?
We all need help. We all need help to get to the next level. And more importantly, whether it's knowledge or whatever it is, I feel like that the most value that you're going to get from having a formal relationship with somebody who's there in your corner is that accountability piece. It's like, for me, like when I tell somebody I'm going to do something, like I am going to kill myself to do it. Like, right? I mean, we
Yeah.
may not be exactly the same, but there's still that layer of responsibility that you feel to honor what you said, versus if you don't have that, you're just going to talk yourself out of it, which is what is happening to so many people.
Well, it's also lonely, isn't it? It's
Yes,
lonely when you're not, and I have found that a lot with people in the last year. There's a lot of women working from home now, and they're lonely. They're
mhm.
not connected, and so nobody's going to knock at your door and say, "Oh, man, you did a great job on that."
Yeah.
So I have 3 accountability buddies,
Mhm.
and you can probably figure out in what categories. I'm consistent,
Yeah,
health, wealth, and happiness. And do have a happiness accountability buddy.
I
And
love
so
that. Yeah,
I love to have a buddy, and I love to have someone cheer me on, and vice versa.
yeah.
And I have a coach. I have 2 coaches.
Mhm.
So again, particularly this last year,
Mhm.
I've reached out to a lot of women entrepreneurs to say, how are you really? because it's been lonely and people are feeling disconnected. So yes, get a coach, get an accountability buddy, or link into a community, which is what I did with the wellness company I'm with. I've really immersed myself. I'm doing coaching now within that company, and I feel like I bring value, but oh my gosh, what I get from it, Kim, what I get, the love, the support, the respect, the inclusivity, like all of that. Hello.
I
That's
mean,
good for your health.
it's good for your health, exactly. And
Mhm.
speaking of COVID, like there's been so many shifts, right?
Mhm.
One of those is the disconnect, the human to human, if you want to call it belly to belly.
Yeah.
I've spoke at 3 live events now in the past month and a half, and oh my gosh, the energy and the connection
Mm.
and usually live events are what they are. They're amazing because you get to see people in person, but there is such a different vibe
Yeah.
now that wasn't there before, and it's because we're starved. We are starved for human connection right now, and I've just met so many amazing, incredible people, and just. I mean, I always do when I go to events, but I don't know. It's just something about it. It just feels so much deeper and richer, if you will. And I predict that live events are going to have a huge um, influx when everybody can travel again and feel safe in doing so. Because again, to your point, we're still human. We still need that
Mhm.
connection. And even though many of us have been using Zoom and live video
Mhm.
and other methodologies, which I'm thinking that's still amazing, there's nothing, it just doesn't replace the human connection, the ability to hug somebody or have that face to face conversation. It's just so powerful. So let me ask this real quick and we'll kind of start wrapping up. But what have you seen in COVID times that has concerned you the most about online entrepreneurs in particular as it relates to their health?
Well, statistics will show a lot of detail and facts, and what I call just sad news is that um, obesity is up because, first of all, so when I mentioned to you earlier that I used to work for Weight Watchers for 8 years, that was back here in my earlier life. When people learned through COVID that I was back, I had a lot of former members messaging me to say, whoever would have thought that the time would come when I'm quarantined at home with the whole family, the kids are at the table, my husband's in another room. Who would have thought the day would come where I would be responsible for planning, preparing, cooking 3 meals a day, every day for however long? And so I ended up doing coaching back in my Weight Watchers hat to share ideas on how I keep meals simple, tasty, and healthy. And even though I cook for one, I cook a proper meal and I sit at my dining room table and I enjoy my meal. And on weekends, I light a candle and I bring flowers. So obesity is up because women are stressed to the max. They've really borne the brunt of COVID. So they have kids at home, they have aging parents, they've got a spouse somewhere, they've got their own work. And
Homeschooling.
yes, and so typically it's like, let's just get whatever food we can, put it in the pantry, everybody help themselves. So obesity is up, which leads to brain fog, inflammation, gut health issues, and so on. So I would say obesity is number one. Number two is that there's a lot of inflammation because people are not moving, they're not exercising. Many, because the anxiety was high, stress was high, people weren't sleeping. So that was the second one. And therefore, there's depression, there's illness that comes out of that. And then, of course, you've got the huge societal issues around suicide, alcoholism, abuse, and so on. So I would say for me to have made the decision to step fully into the wellness space now, if anybody comes to me for coaching, I say to them, you are going to commit to this nutrition system and protocol that I follow first, because I cannot help you build a business when you're overwhelmed, you're stressed, you're overweight, you're unhappy. I mean, that's too much negative energy. Let's get you feeling great and looking great and moving great, and then we'll focus on your business. So that's a big shift that I've seen. And my shift now is health first, coaching after. I will not coach you
Smart.
until you commit to your health, period.
Yeah. Well, that's just such an important part of it and I've never heard of anybody approaching it like that, because
I know.
but it's good. I mean, it's a good thing, because you're exactly right. I mean, there's so many components of life, and especially I mean, we just talked about COVID and all the added layers that COVID has brought to us. Now, obviously, I mean, just the simplest things like, we're an empty nesters now, so we don't have the littles anymore, but there's still all the other stuff. Like, to your point, 3 meals a day have to be cooked. You're not rushing out to go to the restaurant every meal, right?
Or drive-throughs, or whatever.
Yeah. So there's just so many like things that we just didn't think about that I think have added stress. I mean, simple things too, like the things you can't do. Let's fill in the blank, like, right? I can no longer blank. I can no longer blank, and those are like negative triggers for, I think, a lot of people, where, I can't go have, coffee with a friend, or I can't go, do whatever it is that you traditionally have done. A lot of people can't travel and stuff now, or don't feel safe or comfortable doing so. So there's just so many things that I feel like, weigh us down, and we may not think that it's such a big deal, but it's a big deal.
Well, as you said, over time, right?
Yes.
All those little things. So that extra few cookies that you're taking, or that extra glass of wine at night, or just pulling dinner out of a box or a frozen bag and throwing it on whatever in the oven. All of that, like, we thought COVID would be a month, 2 months, 3 months. Okay, fine. Let's flake out on the couch, watch movies, and eat popcorn or chips or something, right?
Yeah.
Right? Well, now,
later.
and now we're 6 months in, and now we've moved from our proper clothing to our yoga pants and our sweatpants, and now we're moving further along. These are comments I'm hearing from all the women I'm working with.
Oh, absolutely.
My clothes don't fit. I'm not putting my bra on because it's too tight. Yeah. I can't get up and down the stairs because my breathing is labored. Like, these are real issues, Kim. So that's why I am so darn focused. I mean, the company I'm with has solutions for all of this. There's adaptogen for gut health and anxiety and sleep. There's collagen elixir for bone health and joint health, which I'm very interested in. Yeah. There's a whole line of plant-based products which will reduce inflammation, and very tasty, so satisfying, and takes away the pressure of 2 other meals a day. Like, there's solutions. Yeah. And they bring fast results, which people want. There's like microwave, right? Microwave, bring it on. Yeah. And
that's why Uber Eats is thriving, right? I mean, at the end of the day, people want what they want, but they don't want, so it's just a crazy dynamic that only we can change.
You see, and that's why I get up every day, and I'm in here focused and at work at 8:30, and I am on a mission. I ask myself every day, who can I serve today? Who can I help feel better today? Who can I help move better today? Because when I get on a Zoom call with people who have known me, they go, holy crap, what are you drinking?
Yeah.
So
there you go, girl.
I'm just here to serve.
That's awesome. So, Pat, thank you for being and sharing all your wisdom with us. But if people want to connect with you, what is the best way? Is that on social? Do you want to point them to a website? What is the best way that they can connect with you?
Well, they can certainly get all my background on my website. So it's simply my name, patmassieux.com. And so for a credibility, if you will, or the story, if you will, it's on the website. For current and to directly connect with me, I'm on Facebook. I'm very active on Facebook, and that's more about my healthy lifestyle on Facebook. And I also have a private Facebook group, Healthy Living 45 age plus, so people can reach out for that. And I'm on LinkedIn because simultaneously, while I do represent healthy living and lifestyle and nutrition and so on LinkedIn, I represent the business side, which is an online e-commerce business where women can build wealth part-time or full-time, and it is in the wellness space, and you can make some really good money. And a lot of people, like Kim, I don't know how close you follow the stats, but I got one the other day. 43.6 million people quit their jobs in August.
Yeah.
43 million.
It's stunning, the numbers. And, so like something that's really like lit a fire under me is the disparity between women owned businesses and men owned businesses. And I'm not like, I don't label myself as a feminist, but I'm sorry, that dynamic has freaking got to change. Like, most women owned businesses never get past $50,000 a month. I mean, a year.
Yeah.
And like, it's like we know already that 1% ever of women-owned businesses ever get to seven figures. I'm
Yep.
sorry, but that has got to change. Like, if women can raise kids and make 3 meals a day and all the stuff is layered on them, they can freaking build a successful business.
Oh my God. And listen, with COVID now, there are so many opportunities online, and women can set their own hours.
Yes.
They can set their own hours.
Especially, I mean, when I started and you started, we've said before, we're oldies but goodies. And, there were not as many options when I started. And there was certainly no knowledge to go with it. Like, you had to figure it out on your own, and so now there's so many opportunities and so much money laying all over the place, ladies. I'm just saying, if you want it, you can get it.
Yes.
I'm just there to lift you up and tell you that, and just, and even those that are already in businesses that you're at that $50,000 mark and you can't seem to get beyond it. You can get there. Find somebody to help you. I can help you. Pat can help you. There are people out there who are amazing business coaches that can get you to the next level. If you can't get there on your own, my husband's always said you can't get to your limits on your own. You need help. Somebody to push you. You need. I say I will. I tell people this frequently. I will kick your butt with love.
Well, and here's the other part, Kim. It's more fun together.
Yes.
It's more fun together. Like,
Yes.
this has been a hard year and a half. So who does not want to partner up with someone who will inspire and support and teach and coach and just show up? Like, who wouldn't want that? So, yeah.
Agreed. So you guys definitely check Pat out, connect with her on Facebook, check out her website, connect with her on LinkedIn. I know there's a lot more people really being intentional with LinkedIn these days. So check her out on LinkedIn. And, I mean, this is what she does. So if you feel like your health is not where it needs to be, then please reach out to her, because she has got not only an incredible journey, but she's in the trenches with you.
Yeah.
She's helping. She's getting you to a better place. So thank you again, Pat. Thank you for all of you that are watching, whether you're watching live or on the replay. We appreciate you. We know time is valuable. When you spend a little with us, we are appreciative of it. So you guys take care of yourselves, stay safe, and God bless.